Hello, everyone. Welcome in.
Hey, everybody.
Right, sons.
Bright suns to you all. It's good to see you. Dean the Turkey Legster, Amy, AJC, Magic TV, welcome in. Uh, Always good to see all of you. And of course, our family too, who popped
Absolutely.
in. Susan, Joy, Kylie, Jeff. I know Jeff's probably watching. Steven, we appreciate all the support.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Julian, yeah, thanks, everybody. How do we get started here?
Well, we and mine are obviously together today. Instead of we're usually in two separate places, but we're together today. I just got back from my Walt Disney World trip, and we're going to go over that Tuesday night. Saw tons of friends, y'all. A lot to tell you about that trip. I know you guys have probably seen pictures, but we're going over that Tuesday night on Hitchhiker Chat. It's our regular show. It's weekly. Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. So join us for that, and we'll tell you all about my recent Walt Disney World trip.
Yeah.
But today we are going to be talking about something that we really love. Obviously, we're on episode 4 of Ahsoka. We love to talk Star Wars. It's just one of our favorite things to do, and this series has been no different.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talked about maybe doing 4 and 5. And in the interest of time, we're going to keep them split. We may just look at, another couple days to get caught back up again. But yeah, it's, there's just way too much to unpack in episode 5 or part 5. And so we opted to just keep them separate rather than do it, combined, extra long stream like we did for episodes 1 and 2 of Ahsoka.
5 is just going to take a long time to unpack. That's the bottom line. 5 has so much detail that we need to go backwards and cover, and back into Rebels. We just decided it would be impossible to cover 4 and 5 on the same live stream. So we're splitting them up.
Welcome in, Tina. Great to see you.
Hi, Tina.
Yeah, Movie Nick always talks about how we're in different rooms, and mom bumps around to different rooms and everything. So
just a second, myself here.
So yeah, we're actually here together. So this is actually the same room that I usually stream in. It's just my desk is right here, and so I'm off to the side.
I have to a little bit. Have to rearrange the studio.
Yeah.
This is Studio C.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see everybody. We so appreciate you guys popping in. Okay, episode 4. Let's get into it. Let me see. Let me just highlight some of your comments.
I already did that.
Oh, you already did it? Okay.
Already did it. Okay. Leaning forward to do. It's a little easier with you. Highlight it on the computer versus me leaning forward.
Yeah, that's a little different. Studio C is a little different ball game for us. At any rate, guys, let's go ahead and jump into episode 4. There's a lot in episode 4, as there has been in all of them. But the further we go, the more exciting this thing gets. Ahsoka is Dave Filoni's creation, along with George Lucas, who really collaborated heavily with him when he was writing the Clone. Dave Filoni is very passionate about this character.
Yes.
And so this episode, guys, is 38 minutes long. It's not a real long episode, but man, there's a lot of action in it. We have some amazing lightsaber duels. The action is really, really good, especially if you're a fan of, the various stances. And, they pay attention to that because Dave Filoni knows that Star Wars fans pay attention to that.
Yeah.
September, and it's entitled Fallen Jedi. So let's talk. Let me just quickly cover a recap of episode 3, which was the prior episode. Hera had made an impassioned plea to the New Republic leaders we saw Mon Mothma in this council, and several that we have seen in the animated series, for help in tracking Morgan Elsbeth. She is convinced, obviously, that Morgan Elsbeth is trying to bring Thrawn back from exile. and so that he is the heir to the Empire. She's convinced of it. She's right, of course, but the council is not convinced, and so she ends up getting frustrated with that. And she finally says, "Look, I've spent most of my life fighting a war, and that's why I'm trying to convince you to help me prevent another one." So they're unmoved, and Hera decides to set out on her own. What good is being a general if you can't exercise that rank sometimes? And then meanwhile, Ahsoka and Sabine followed Morgan Elsbeth, to the planet Satos in an attempt to reacquire the map. So while Hera is talking to the Senate, trying to drum up support and help for this effort, Ahsoka and Sabine are still on the hunt. Tracking Elsbeth, trying to keep up with them so that they don't get away from them. Their ship is damaged. They come up on the hyperspace ring that Elsbeth has been constructing, and their ship is damaged when the ring makes a jump to hyperspace, and they land. And they're just they're just in their path. And when they make that jump in the ring, the squadron that is with Ahsoka, they lose a lot of them, and they're forced to the planet because their ship is damaged. So that's where this one picks up. They land on the planet to make repairs, and at the end of episode 3, Elsbeth tells Baylan Skoll and
Shin
to hunt them down. So that's where this one opens up, guys. And so on board Ahsoka's damaged ship, the Fulcrum, they are on the planet. They set down on the planet, and keep in mind now that Morgan Elsbeth is also there. They're just in different places. Morgan Elsbeth has gone there with her minions to try and open the map and find. They need a jump point. They need a path to where Thrawn is.
I think you meshed things together there a little bit. The ring hasn't jumped to hyperspace yet. You're an episode ahead of yourself. The ring is it blows up like 3 of the 4 or 5 X-wings and pushes, like, it throws the ghost. So I think we watched episode 5 yesterday, and so I think it kind of meshed those together. I think the ship was damaged because they were being pursued by those ships. Shin, I think Merrick.
They were all
they were being pursued, and so they had to shut, like, they were able to weave kind of in between the Purgle, and then they had to shut the ship down. And so I think that's I think that's how the ship got damaged.
Maybe so. This is what comes from watching
ahead.
Episodes ahead.
Exactly.
At any rate, they had to sit down on the planet and make repairs.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to get back in the air. They're also trying to contact Hera to see if the New Republic is sending any help. So Huyak's trying to repair the ship. Sabine is unable to reach Hera on the comm at this point. And outside the ship, Ahsoka and Sabine have a rather pointed conversation. It's kind of a pivotal conversation. It's not a long one, but it still covers some ground that will come back to bear later on in the story. She says, if they can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should. Now keep in mind that their mission is twofold. They're trying to keep Thrawn. Ezra and Thrawn are both in exile in the same place. It's a distant galaxy. And that, yes, they want to prevent Thrawn's return, but they're also hoping to bring Ezra back from exile. So it's a catch-22 there. And Ahsoka, tells her, we may have to make a choice here, between stopping Thrawn from coming back as heir to the Empire, starting another war, and rescuing our friend. Sabine Ahsoka is understands that choice.
Yeah.
She understands the stakes.
Yeah.
Sabine is still thinking with her heart.
Yeah.
A lot instead of her head. And so Ahsoka, finally, they talk about it a little bit, and Ahsoka says, better to leave Ezra in exile than to allow Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire. And she says, can I count on you?
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing, some people kind of make the point online that, Ahsoka told Sabine that if they can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should. And so, we'll talk more about that dilemma, later on in this episode. But yeah, it's definitely, Sabine says, you can, in the response to, Ahsoka's question, can I count on you? And Huyang comes outside to work on the ship, and Ahsoka, cautions him to be careful.
Yeah. I'll just have to say that when Jeff was watching, my husband was watching this, and Ahsoka says, can I count on you? Jeff answered her and said the answer to that would be no.
No. Yeah.
So
up to this point has not gone well.
No.
Which, is you had mentioned as one of your kind of critiques of the show up to this point is that, Sabine is a much stronger character than we've seen portrayed up to this point in the show, as she's portrayed in Rebels. And so, we're hoping to kind of see her find her footing again. Yeah, I think part of the reason is because, they've portrayed her as kind of being out of her element. Obviously she looked much more comfortable once she donned her, Mandalorian armor. But this whole Jedi training thing kind of throws a big wrench in the mix. She's grown up her whole life as a Mandalorian. And there's a bit of,
and she's a strong Mandalorian.
Yeah,
she's an excellent Mandalorian.
Yeah. And so, this show kind of, for those that don't have that background of Sabine as a character, having seen Rebels, they probably think, you can't count on her for anything. She's always just going to screw stuff up,
That's not at all true.
That's not at all true.
No. And I'm a little bit frustrated with this portrayal of her as a screw up, or as somebody who, but I get that they're trying to establish her as a weak Padawan candidate.
Yeah.
So I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But I hate for people who are not familiar with her character to see her like this.
Yeah.
And that be their only impression of her.
Yeah.
Because Sabine is a really strong character in the animated series.
Yep. And so, their relationship is, shaky, still. But
best.
but Ahsoka, made some progress last episode when she decided to listen to her apprentice and trusted her to make the right decisions in life or death situations. Sabine may not be, is probably, as Yang has mentioned, is far from being the perfect Jedi candidate. But again, don't forget she is a strong. She's a very strong Mandalorian. Exactly, Tina. It's weak Padawan, strong Mandalorian. Got it. Yeah,
that's it.
That's
it. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry for the blips there. I was still connected to the home Wi-Fi, and so I disconnected from that. So we shouldn't see any more blips in terms of the connection. Sorry about that. But we cut to Morgan Elsbeth sending Shin and Merrick to intercept Ahsoka and Sabine. Ahsoka and Sabine talk again about Ezra and the possibility that they may have to choose between rescuing Ezra and stopping Thrawn's return. Outside, Huyang is attacked by an enemy droid, and he yells for help. And it's pretty funny because we have like a droid fist fight.
Right.
And, I saw people compare it to like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And so it's
true.
pretty funny. But anyway, so he calls for help. He gets jumped, and Ahsoka and Sabine run outside to engage the enemy. They stop the droids and set out for Elsbeth. And before they leave, this is key. Huyang tells them, "Stay together. You always did better that way, in my opinion." And so, that's obviously a bit of foreshadowing.
Right.
Stay together. You always did better that way, in my opinion. And so he's giving them, wise counsel. There's strength in numbers.
Yeah. Yang, well, and he knows that they need each other.
Yeah.
He knows that they do better together.
Yeah.
He knows that, and so he's just admonishing them, hey, before you tear off into the forest, stay together. Stay together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Hera at command headquarters. She's frustrated by the Senator's refusal to send reinforcements to help Ahsoka, and she decides to leave anyway with Jason, her son, and Chopper. Carson Teva and other pilots join her. Hera says, "Once a rebel, always a rebel."
Carson says, "You sure you want to, disobey, or leave without authorization?" She says, "Once a rebel, always a rebel," which is totally what we expect from Hera.
Yeah, and for Carson too as well.
That's true.
And for the Mandalorian, we've seen, he does what he thinks is right versus just falling in line. So we cut back to the witches' covenstead. Elsbeth uses the map to calculate the path to the galaxy where Thrawn is, which is pretty cool. She levitates the map. It's at this point we figure out, she's a witch.
Yeah, and Balin. Balin says witchcraft. And Balin's skull is totally. He seems not outwardly, but he's definitely creeped out by witchcraft. I mean, he's kind of thrown for a loop.
It makes him uneasy.
Yeah, it makes him very uneasy.
But she levitates the map. Again, the map is kind of like in this little ball, very intricately designed, ball. And she levitates the map and uses it to display a digital dome with a line, pointing to the other galaxy. And Balin is skeptical, warning her that if her calculations are off by just a little in a jump like this, then they're going to be lost to the void. She tells him to have faith, and he replies, "Faith, I lost that a long time ago." We still don't have much insight into his background aside from the fact that at one point he was part of the Order.
Right.
Now we find out, in a later episode that he's raised Shin, outside of the Order. So, Shin has no, she has no, upbringing through the Jedi Order, which we find out a couple of episodes later. But anyway, it definitely helps point us, toward understanding, like, something happened here, to cause Balin to become disillusioned, not unlike Ahsoka. But obviously Balin's taken a quite different path than Ahsoka did. And one thing that it was kind of hard to tell based off of the TV, but people have picked up on it. Shin and Balin's sabers are like blood orange versus red, which I think also kind of tells you a bit more about their character too. It's like they're
kind of Sith, but they're not.
They're bad. Yeah. But they're not like completely evil. So it's interesting to say the least. But
lightsaber color in Star Wars is telling.
Yeah. But yeah, you could tell he's disillusioned and bitter. Things that often leave. These are two attributes that lead to a departure from the truth and doing what is right. Ahsoka also, like I said, experienced the same disappointment when she was accused of murder, and the Jedi Council didn't have her back. And it's interesting too because I was reminded of this. I saw somebody post about it. Sith itch. There you go, Dean. But it's interesting. People made a point. Like Mace Windu, others on the council. At the trial. Or after it was revealed that she was innocent, they wrapped things up. They tried to patch it, and it's like, oh, this was your trial, and she probably, she likely would have been given, promoted from Padawan to Knight, following what she went through with the trial, but she walks away altogether instead. And so,
that was a tough episode. Those are tough episodes to watch.
Yeah.
And when all that happened, if you've not watched the Clone Wars, the essential episodes and what we're talking about are all listed in the description of this video. You can check those out. But that I was totally, when I was watching the Clone Wars through for the first time, I was totally caught off guard.
Yeah.
By that, I did not expect her to leave the Order. I really did, but that's the direction.
Yeah. So it's really both of them were disillusioned with the Order. We don't know what caused Balin to be. Aside from maybe Order 66, and we may find out later on. But it's what they decide to do with that disappointment, disillusionment that separates the two. That sent them down different paths. He went down a darker path, and she chose the lighter path. Which we'll see her. Yeah.
It's always about choices, folks.
We'll see her further challenged on that choice as the series progresses. But I'll let you pick up with the forest. So back to the forest.
The forest. Okay, so then we get into these. Star Wars fans, we love good lightsaber duels, and we get to see 3 basically in this. Now, Ahsoka. Sabine and Ahsoka run into Shin and Merrick. They remember Shin and Merrick had been sent by Elspeth to dispatch them, which doesn't go as she had hoped. But Ahsoka and Merrick. Merrick is he
kind of looks like
he's kind of an inquisitor, kind of.
Yeah. He's
but,
got the Inquisitor saber,
and she's fought Inquisitors numerous times, so she really doesn't have a whole lot of problem dispatching him, taking him out. Now, the interesting thing, and I've got to go back and watch this a little more closely. That
was it Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe? It kind of has the head covering. Yeah, kind of like that. You can't see his face. Like we never see his face because he's got a helmet.
But he has an Inquisitor saber, and so now it has been suggested that because of what happens when she finally wounds him fatally. Something kind of emerges.
Yeah, it's like this green,
like a
mist,
glow
basically.
Or a mist or something, and it has been theorized. I'll have to do a little bit, more digging on this one. That Morgan, Elspeth, who is a witch, had simply reanimated a dead Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And with her magic.
Yeah.
And so he's a zombie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really creepy and interesting.
It is.
That's a different.
And there is an episode in the Clone Wars where we see, a similar situation happen. Which somebody had pointed back to, which I didn't remember, but I'd seen. I can't remember. I didn't see the exact episode off the top of my head, but somebody showed the screenshot kind of side by side of what happened to Merrick and what happened to this other, other thing, and kind of same thing going on there. But yeah, I think it's definitely Dathomirian magic.
It's worth maybe another look. And the witches of Dathomir have, are all of their woven in a big part of the Clone Wars. We haven't seen a lot in
live action.
In the live action. So it's really cool, I think, because I'm fascinated with things like this too, to get to see them and delve more into to realize that Elsbeth is actually a witch.
It's funny too because so many people had theorized all these different identities of Merrick. They all sorts of theories. Could he be Cal Kestis? Could he be Star Killer from the Force Unleashed video games? There are so many different theories, and then all of a sudden, he's just cut down and turns into nothing. And so
it's weird.
Yeah.
But the witches of Dathomir are weird.
Yeah, they are.
They're creepy. They're weird. They're all the way out there.
Yeah.
They're a whole different ballgame and interesting, thrown into the Star Wars mix. They really are, which I find fascinating. And yes, They and he's a zombie, not something you expected to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my line. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what I'm
Yeah.
calling. But yeah, it is really fascinating. The Witches of Dathomir are creepy, and all of the things that you would they're even drawn creepy in the Clone Wars. It's just fascinating stuff. Darth Maul, you know, it kind of, you know, has,
Sriracha Press,
you know, has, so it's really dark stuff.
Yeah.
It's anyway. Um so the other Shin engages Sabine. And so this is the second fight that's going on. Now, Shin, you know, initially, you know, we've seen them fight before
Mm-hmm.
back at Sabine's tower. And because Sabine is so rusty with her, you know, with her Jedi uh, arts, she doesn't do real well
Yeah.
against her. She runs her through, in
Yeah.
fact. Well, this is kind of a rematch,
Yeah.
and lots happened, you know, and Sabine has also, you know, has her Mandalorian armor
Yeah.
on. So at this point, so you know, Sabine is Sabine is using both her Mandalorian skill and her Jedi skill,
Yeah.
and against Shin. I think Shin is arrogant. She feels like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she can, you know, defeat her, you know, pretty handily. And it's at this point that we really see Sabine kind of pick up you know, she picks it up here.
Yeah.
And I love it
Mm-hmm.
that she does, because she relies on her Mandalorian skill, not her Jedi skill, to defeat Shin. And at one point, you know, Shin says, um, you know, you have no power,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Sabine hits her with a whistling bird or wrist rocket, and knocks her lightsaber out of her hand. So it's really it's a good, both are very good fights. I really enjoyed Sabine. I really enjoyed the choreography, and really Sabine and Shin, because of that rivalry there.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Padawan clash,
Yeah.
basically. So back at the Witch's Covetstead, Ahsoka approaches Balin. Remember, she's killed Merrick, and so she makes it to the Covetstead. And Balin is a crafty sort.
Yeah.
He immediately tries to get into her head, you know, to use her emotions against her, because he knows what she's been through. He knows more about her than she does about him.
Yeah.
Because the first thing he says to her is, Anakin spoke highly of you. Ahsoka says, well, that's funny, because he never mentioned you, which I thought was, you know, down there. But, you know, they engage in a little word joust here. And he basically said, you know, you know, I'm trying for something, you know, more noble. You know, these little tin dictators always think that they're, you know, that they're so noble. And Ahsoka said, you find starting another war, you know, you're gonna start another war, and you think, you know, that's somehow necessary. And Balin says a line here that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Think about this one. It is an unfortunate evil that speaks to a greater truth. One must destroy in order to create. That is that one must destroy in order to create is a commonly held belief among evil people throughout history.
That's true.
That is very telling. You think about the history of the world, and, you know, Hitler, and, you know, people who have tried to take over the world before, basically. That is their philosophy.
Yeah.
They have to tear down everything that's good and recreate it into what they want it to be. So I thought that was an interesting statement on his part. Morgan is on the ring. She's waiting to receive the final coordinates from that map, so that they can make the jump. So we're cutting back and forth now from Sabine and Shin's duel to Ahsoka and Baylan, who were at the Coven's Den. And Ahsoka, obviously Ahsoka and Baylan are gonna fight.
Yeah.
Baylan is not Merrick.
Yeah.
Baylan is totally not. He is much more skilled. Ahsoka recognizes it, immediately. So she's got a pretty solid challenge on her hands with this guy. He's much more formidable, and this is a really great duel to watch this. And I lost her name that plays Ahsoka. Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson, in order to prepare for this series and in order to become Ahsoka, has really, she believes that Ahsoka's physicality is such an intricate part of her personality that she has paid a lot of attention to learning how to fight.
Yeah.
How to the stances and the dueling and what have you. She wants that to be very believable.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She just gets better and better.
Yeah.
I think as this thing progresses at the dueling. So Baylan is still trying to get in her head. He says at one point, it's very intense and the music is very intense. And Baylan says, "Your legacy, like your master's, is one of death and destruction." That's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
She's hitting, he's hitting Ahsoka where he knows it hurts. Anakin.
Yeah.
He knows all that story. And so, Ahsoka is angered by that. That lights a fire under her, and she solidly knocks Baylan off his feet. She rushes to the map. It's like hovering over the pylon. She rushes to it and she grabs it, and it burns her hand. She tries to hold on to it. It burns her hand. Now, it does break the connection.
Yeah.
Remember that the droid, Morgan Elsbeth is trying to get that final coordinate to make the jump from that map. So when she pulls it off, it breaks the connection.
Yeah.
But she throws it down because it burns her hand. So now the map is kind of off to the side. And Morgan knows that the map's been disconnected. So Baylan then engages Ahsoka again. And the fight kind of leads them to the edge of this structure. Yeah. Which is on the edge of the water.
Yeah. It's on a cliff side.
It is. It's on a very high cliff. And so that somebody's going to end up, on the edge.
Taking a fall.
So at this point, Shin shows up. And so she's kind of come to. She shows up, and when Ahsoka sees her, she fears that she's killed Sabine. Because when Sabine's not there, and so she uses the Force to throw Shin into one of the pylons, and she hits the pylon and basically it knocks her out again. Baylan has Ahsoka on the very edge of the cliff at this point.
Yeah. And
Sabine then arrives. She gets there, and Ahsoka is like, they're like, engaged. They've got their blades crossed and what have you. And Sabine interrupts the fight basically and says, stop. And Sabine has picked up the map and she's holding it in her hand. And Ahsoka yells at her and says, "Destroy it." Ahsoka is trying to get her to end this thing.
Almost Lord of the Rings-esque with the,
Yes.
with the ring.
Yes.
He says, "No." Walks away. But it goes a little differently here.
It does. That's true. We get Harry Potter and and Lord of the Rings vibes from some of this. But so she's holding it and she has her blaster pointed at it, and she's trying to get Baylan to release Ahsoka. She's basically holding the map hostage and trying to get Baylan to release it. And Ahsoka just says, destroy it, just destroy it, and end this thing. Shut her down. Sabine says tells Baylan to step away from her. It's very tense. A lot of great music and angst and what have you. But during all of this, Ahsoka's concentration is broken.
Yeah.
Basically, because it's been taken all that she has to hold Baylan, to fight Baylan and hold him at bay. And her concentration is kind of broken by this exchange with Sabine, and Baylan is able to force her over the side and into the water.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh gee.
Yeah.
So big.
Probably not a good thing, another
thing there.
falling off a cliffside is usually not great for anybody.
Right.
And so anyway, she takes a fall into the water. We don't, we don't know her fate. We don't know what's happened aside from her falling off the cliff. And then Baylan, again playing mind games. Talking to Sabine, and
goes back up to his old tricks.
He convinces Sabine to give her the map, or to give him the map. Promising he promises her that he's going to take her to Ezra.
No harm will come to her. And that she will see Ezra again.
And he tells her they have a common goal.
Hand me the.
He gives her his word that again Harry Potter. Just give me the stone. Professor Quirrell / McGonagall / Voldemort in Sorcerer's Stone at the end of the movie. But anyway, no word. He says no harm's going to come to you. She thinks about it.
And there's a big struggle here. He keeps talking to her, and as he's talking to her, he's getting closer to her, and he's really laying it on thick. And we're all going, don't hit it to him. Don't.
And
so she's holding, and you can see the wheels turning. This is really tough for her.
And so, sure enough, she finally, he's convinced her to give him the map. And then he puts the map in. She puts the map in his hand. Behind Sabine, Shin uses a force choke, and Sabine falls to the ground. Baylan tells Shin to release her. He puts the map back on the pylon, and Morgan's droid says that the calculations for the jump are complete. One thing to note here is that Ahsoka had said technically, it's from a certain point of view, if you will. Ahsoka had said, if we can't make the jump, no one should. And so technically, it's Sabine's in a no-win situation here. She's outnumbered. She's outgunned. I mean, if she blows the thing up, that's the thing. Is like, if she blows the thing up, Ezra and Thrawn are both gone for good.
Right.
On the Thrawn side, that's great. On the Ezra side, not so great. And so that's the dilemma here. To lose, a person in her life that she basically considers as a brother, is very close to, and so she's faced with this dilemma, and and obviously Baylan doesn't help. He kind of feeds feeds the thoughts here, but technically, again, if she shoots a thing, she probably, she gets killed. Ezra and Thrawn are lost. And this series is substantially shorter.
That's true.
And so, anyway, technically, by giving him the map, figuring out the coordinates to where Thrawn and Ezra are, technically, she is going with them to where they are.
Well, she's living to fight another day.
Yeah.
She's living, instead of ending it right there. She thinks, okay, in my mind, I think she's choosing the lesser of the evils here, in that it still gives her another chance.
Yeah. There's still hope.
Yeah. there's still hope
There's still
of doing
hope.
both.
Yeah.
You know, if she goes with him, okay, yes, she is doing what he wants her to do, but at the same time, she is not abandoning the hope that she can still stop throwing and still
save it.
and save it.
So
She's
yeah.
or
So
Ahsoka told her to just
just
stop
destroy it.
Done with it.
Yeah.
Sabine is prolonging the agony.
Yeah. So we cut back to the ship. Yang contacts Hera. He tells Hera what is happening.
Yeah.
Balin, after they get the coordinates, Balin stabs the map with the lightsaber, and it splits into two pieces. They put Sabine in binders, the little space handcuffs, and return to the ring in a small ship. Hera and the squadron attempt to block the hyperspace ring from jumping. Morgan instructs the droid to ignore them and make the jump. So they're like in the way, which I was like, oh no. I was like, this is not a good idea to this thing's about to take off. Y'all should probably move. And sure enough, the ghost ends up being fine. And also too, Carson Teva, his ship is fine. I think there's one other ship that's fine too, but like two or three other ones get blown up. And so we get the obligatory line here from Jason that is fit into so many Lucasfilm products. Mom, I've got a bad feeling. I've got a bad feeling about this. Yeah. So there have been different iterations of that line in various movies. So we get the line here from a young Jason, and Huyang desperately tries to contact Ahsoka or Sabine on the comm, and unsuccessfully. Yeah, radio silence. So, and then the last scene, Ahsoka wakes up. The camera angle widens, and we see that she is in the world between worlds, and she has been here before. And so I'll let you pick it up there.
Okay, you were doing so well.
No.
Okay, so the world between worlds, guys, is something that that was introduced in the Clone Wars.
Oh, in Rebels.
And Rebels,
yeah.
Not Clone Wars.
And Rebels.
Rebels. I didn't know if there was any scenes of it in the Clone Wars or not, but in Rebels, Ahsoka has been here before. If you're unfamiliar with Rebels, then you would have no clue where she is.
Yeah.
This place has been described. Ahsoka Tano herself described it as a world between worlds.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that she went there, she made the statement, "This place is ancient,
mm-hmm.
like a world between worlds." And Darth Sidious described it as a mystical realm that connects all of space and time, creating a conduit between the living and the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty cool. Those who control this plane would possess mastery over all of existence, but gaining access has proven an unexpected challenge. Mm-hmm. So Darth Sidious was after the gate
mm-hmm.
to this world between worlds in Rebels, and it's an interesting looking place. I think they did a fantastic job of recreating what they had, what they showed in the Clone Wars
mm-hmm.
or in Rebels, and it is, in live action. It's known as the Vergence Scatter. Is more I guess a formal name for it. The Vergence Scatter. It's a mystical plane, and it's within the Force that served as a collection of doors and pathways between time and space.
Uh-huh.
So, it's really a cool concept. It links all moments in time together.
Yeah.
Which put me in mind of Loki.
Mm-hmm.
But and the
TVA.
The universe, the universe. Ahsoka first went there in an episode of Rebels, as we said, entitled A World Between Worlds. It was described within the Chain Worlds theorem and visualized in sacred Jedi text kept in the Jedi Temple. And it was accessible from a painting of the Mortis gods. Now, we're going to have to talk just a little bit about these. This is how Ezra accessed it. The Mortis gods of the Jedi Temple are the Father, the Daughter, and the Son. And it decorated the exterior of the Jedi Temple on the planet Lothal, which is Ezra's home planet. That's how he first worlds.
Yeah.
So depending on the circumstances, this realm can appear differently to who's traveling through it.
Yeah.
Its appearance can also vary depending on where they access it.
Yeah.
So when Ahsoka lost her fight to Balin Skull, she was thrown off a cliff into the water, and when she awoke, she found herself in this fluid world, much like we saw in Rebels. It looks fluid. It has, she's standing on basically, like a walkway that's hanging in midair. It's made of light.
Yeah.
It's really cool looking. She wakes up and the camera is on just gets a head and shoulders shot of her, and we hear, she wakes up, she sits up, and she gets to her feet, and we hear the voice, and it says, "Hello, Snips. I didn't expect to see you so soon." And of course, all of us in the Star Wars universe go, "Oh, man," because we know the voice, we know who calls her Snips. It is Anakin.
Yeah.
It is Anakin in this world between worlds. Young Anakin. Hey, I think they de-aged Hayden Christensen just a little bit for this scene. And Ahsoka says, "Master." Obviously, she's thrilled to see him. She loves Anakin.
Yeah.
And so she says, "Master," and she sees him standing there, and he smiles at her. This sweet Hayden Christensen Anakin smile, and then the ominous Vader music plays us out as the episode ends. So talk about leaving you hanging on a cliff.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. It was excellent cliffhanger for sure at the end of the episode.
Yeah, it was great though. It was it was so cool.
Dane says we see that kind of thing in Narnia and the Magician's Nephew. Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, great episode there. The next one I'm really looking forward to talking about. Part 5 next week. This with lots of thoughts related to part 5. So look forward to talking about it.
Part 5 was actually put into a lot of theaters. It played in Disney Springs.
Oh, neat. Yeah, there was a theater in Dallas also where it played. Let's see here. So the bit of trivia here: the theoretical physics behind the hyperring actually exists. It works on the theory that the ring has a ship within the circle. Will stay completely stationary. However, the hyperring will move space around it. The ring nor the ship itself moves, but the space around it does, making traveling great distances theoretically possible. That's interesting to say the least.
That's maybe how they do that. Reminds me of Scotty's calculations and theory on transport beaming from Star Trek. Same basic idea there, that space is the thing that's moving. But at any rate, observations. Well, recommendations. Observations on this, guys. I love this. you know, I love it when they're able to pull in other characters. Anakin shows, we knew that Hayden Christensen was going to show up as Anakin because we knew he was going to be part of the cast. We just didn't know when. Well, here he is. So this just was really hard for me to wait for the next week to see episode 5 because we knew it was going to be big, and it totally is. Cannot wait to to review that one and unpack everything that happens, because there is a lot that happens in that episode. But to see Anakin again here, to see Hayden Christensen keep reprising this role is just gold.
Yeah.
To me and to most Star Wars fans, I absolutely love him. The thing with Anakin is that, and we've mentioned this before, unless you have watched the Clone Wars, all you know of Anakin Skywalker is the little pod race, the little pod racer. I hate sand; it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't at all from the movies get a picture of Anakin, a full picture of Anakin.
You do get a picture of Anakin, but
yes,
not the full
but
picture.
not at all a full picture.
Yeah.
Because in the Clone Wars, that's where you learn to really love Anakin. And he is, he's taken on Ahsoka as his Padawan, and you get to see that relationship. You get to see his thinking. Anakin does not think like any other Jedi. He does not. And so what he passes on to Ahsoka is not like any other Jedi.
Yeah.
Not like any other Padawan, which is why Ahsoka is so different.
Yeah.
She is trained by, what Dave Filoni has called the most powerful Jedi ever.
Jedi of all time. Yeah.
So, it's really coming to a head here.
Yeah.
I think this is really coming to, I really think Dave Filoni has got a knockout punch ready for episode 8. I'm looking forward to. I think there's no way they don't do a second season.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because it's just too good, and it keeps getting better. Observations. We talked about Sabine's decision to surrender the map and go with her. I think that's strategic.
Yeah.
This is basically live to fight another day.
Yeah.
It's a compromise. She's still hoping she can somehow rescue Ezra and stop Thrawn.
Yeah.
So she took that path for that reason. I love that Jason, Hera's son, wasn't just kind of inserted in there. I love that he's there and he's force sensitive.
We'll hear more about that in the next episode.
Yeah. He's Jason, and the kid that they have playing Jason is very good. I think he does a really good job with the role. He's the son of Hera and Kanan Jarrus. And he's force sensitive. Kanan was a Jedi, and one of my favorite Jedi, by the way, and was a character in Rebels as well. But it's interesting that I love this cartoon character so much. We've never seen Kanan in live action. Hope, hope, hope. But yeah, I totally love him. And I just noticed, guys, did anybody notice that Brendan Wayne is in this? Brendan?
I missed this. Yeah.
He plays Lieutenant Lander in episodes 4 and 5. He's one of the pilots, and he's part of Ahsoka's New Republic X-wing squadron. Of course, y'all remember him. He's Pedro Pascal's stunt double for the Mandalorian, and is responsible for a lot of Mando's moves.
Yeah.
Because he's just that good. So Pedro Pascal and he have really worked together to make Mando what he is. He is, of course, the grandson of the late great John Wayne. Brandon Wayne. How cool is that?
That is really cool.
That's really cool. And then the excitement just keeps building, guys. In this series, we get closer to the last episode. Oh my gosh! I am so excited about this. I'm so pleased that Dave Filoni has really come into his own here, and risen to this challenge of bringing Ahsoka to live action so beautifully. I have read a lot of poo-pooers. I've read a lot of the critics. Blah blah blah, and their lack of faith is disturbing, is all I can say. Because it's interesting to me how at the beginning of these series, happened with Obi-Wan, happened with Boba Fett, happened with Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's just too slow. It's just
Yeah.
too slow. It needs to, well, you got to develop a story, folks. You have to establish, you got to get a jumping off place.
People are too impatient.
They're way too impatient.
Yeah.
They're way too impatient. Let the story develop. Trust the maker.
Yeah.
Trust Dave Filoni. He's good at this.
Yeah.
He's good at this. They got some good people on this, and he's not going to let us down because Ahsoka is his baby.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to episode 5 and 6, as we've said, have already dropped, and they are excellent.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Excellent.
And so I'm really excited. We get 2 more. Granted, we've already watched 5 and 6, but we haven't reviewed them yet. But we get 2 more, which I'm thrilled about. So
8 episodes.
Uh-huh.
And a season 2.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully
season
season 2. Otherwise, they got a lot of work to do in the next couple episodes. If they're planning on only doing 1 season of Ahsoka, so hopefully, I mean, it seems like the story seems big enough to where they're probably going to cliffhanger us again and make us wait for season 2, if I had to guess.
And I love it. I just love it. IMDb, Internet Movie Database, rating on this is currently an 8 out of 10 for this episode, and it wouldn't surprise me if that didn't go higher for this one. But at any rate, I loved it. It gets better. 5 and 6 are fantastic. We will go over episode 5.
Next week. One other thing we wanted to mention was there's a Master and Apprentice, a special look at Ahsoka, 8-minute little documentary, and so we just wanted to mention that real quick.
They interviewed Dave Filoni and George Lucas, by the way. And, John Favreau's also in it. They talk about her origins and her development, the makeup and how Rosario became.
Carrie Beck's in it. Kathleen Kennedy's in it as well.
So it's very good. Watch that.
Yeah, it's just 8 minutes, so it's a really quick watch, but it's really neat and kind of talks about the show, and it's
called Master and Apprentice, a special look at Ahsoka. So definitely check that out. And our list, as I said, of essential episodes for the Clone Wars and Rebels is in the descriptions video if you don't want to check those out. And just for fun, guys, let me mention this right quick as we close this thing out. Phineas and Ferb. How many of you are Phineas and Ferb fans? But they do a Star Wars mashup in season 4, episode 40, and it's absolutely great.
Yeah, you can search it. In itself, if you just search Phineas and Ferb, there's Mission Marvel, and then there's the Star Wars mashup episode as well.
Yeah,
so
it's really
you could find them without having to go to the specific episode. Just type in Phineas and Ferb, and you'll find it.
It's a fun one.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is a fun one. If you want more Star Wars.
I've saved both of those, the Star Wars one and the Mission Marvel one, to my watch list because I was watching them so frequently.
But they're both really good. We're huge Phineas and Ferb fans, guys. Okay, so I was at Disney World this past week, guys. It was a fantastic trip. So many of our friends, you think we coordinated, we didn't, but everybody showed up in the parks at the same time. Pete McDevitt, Jennifer Caruso, Kenneth H., Sebastian the Crab, so many.
Of course, all the people that live there. So
and all the usual suspects. Last Sunday, for Dis Our Dreams live stream, they always do Animal Kingdom, and we had 19 YouTubers on the safari trip.
Wow.
For the safari. So
Kilimanjaro
Safari. It was so much fun, guys, and we hung out. The rest of the day. I did cut that day short because I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
So I did leave at 3 p.m. That particular day. But then we all met again the next day at Epcot. So, but it was tons of fun. I'll tell you all about that on Hitchhiker Chat Tuesday night. But
9
that was
o'clock p.m. Central,
that was
10
neat.
o'clock Eastern.
Check out my live streams. I did a really long live stream, including fireworks, happily ever after fireworks from Magic Kingdom, and I also did a long one from Hollywood Studios while I was there. So check those out. Got some shorts up as well. So look at all those. Got some really good views on that Magic Kingdom one. But look at all that. And I will also be back to Walt Disney World in 36 days.
Yeah.
And that's for a good long trip. I'm looking forward to it. So please subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you get notified if we go live or upload a video. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. We picked up about 25 new subscribers while I was in Walt Disney World. So thank you. If you're new to the channel, I met some great people in line, for rides at the airport. Met a family, interestingly enough, named the Youngs, and they were from Pennsylvania. At the airport, and we talked. They were huge. Of course, they saw my Disney, and they were huge Disney fans. So we talked with them, and they subscribed, I think. So welcome to you guys. But I really appreciate it. All of our new subscribers, we really do. We're making that push to 1,000. On Saturday, I will post a new vlog if I can get that thing out. I've got it about halfway done. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party from last year. This will be when Jeff and I went.
Oh, nice.
Last year, so I'll post that up, and you can watch that. Again, check our chat Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. Walt Disney World time. That's our usual show. And of course, next week here, same time and channel for episode 5.
Yeah. Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday of next week. Thanks so much to our channel members, guys. We appreciate it so much. People who appear in chat in green have chosen to bless us with, every week with some money to help the channel, just to support us, and we really appreciate it. Mike Whaler, Tina McNeil, Brian's West Coast Disney Adventure, Mike 88 NYC, and Texas Takes.
Yeah.
Special friends of the channel. So
thanks for that.
Thanks for being here, and our ghost host. We
Yes, ghost host moderators. Thanks for keeping the chat family friendly, so we can focus on content we have prepared for the show. Also, thanks to AJC Magic TV, Dean the Turkey Legster, and T McNeil. Thanks to y'all for being here. We appreciate the support, hanging out with us in the chat today. Also, thank you to Angelina and Susan, Jillian, Kylie, and other family members as well, and anybody else that may be watching on the replay or in ghost mode. So we appreciate you being here.
Let us know if you've got any questions or comments in the the description below, or in the comments below, and anything to add to it. We're always interested in trivia and things that there's so much to this thing. There's no way anybody can possibly cover it all, but we try to cover as much as we can.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to follow us there in social media. If you want to reach out to us, send us a direct message on Instagram, or send us an email at thehitchhikingboats@gmail.com. Anything else you want to mention?
I can't think of anything, guys. We just appreciate you being here and look forward to episode 5.
Wow. Big time excited about that. Pop some popcorn. We,
settle in.
Take a bathroom break before, because we have a lot to talk about for
it's
episode
great.
5.
It's fantastic.
Part 5 was so good. So
it's fantastic.
Anything else?
I can't think of a thing.
All right. Remember, at the Hitchhiking Bones YouTube channel, there's always room for one more. So please hurry back. Bye, everybody.
May the force be with you always.
Kill this fire.